The speed limit in a residential area kills a young woman in Aurora. That driver is unlicensed, uninsured, and undocumented.
On top of that, the victim's parents say he is also unaccountable. The Arapahoe County District Attorney's Office offered him probation, community service, as punishment for taking a life.
Tonight, in a story you'll see only on CBS Colorado, your reporter Sean Boyd talks to that young woman's parents who say their plea deal devalues their daughter's life.
She really spent her life wanting to help people.
John Weaver says his daughter Kaitlin was a born caregiver, protective and supportive of siblings and strangers alike. A psychology major, she worked for a suicide hotline before taking a job at a drug rehab center in Aurora. It was there, her dad says, she found her calling in life.
She was really trying to make a difference in their lives every day.
It was after one of those days last July, as she drove home, her boyfriend on speaker, a nearby ring camera recording. Kaitlin Weaver was killed by a Jeep barreling through a residential neighborhood. The speed limit, 45. The driver, investigators say, was doing more than 90.
She didn't even see him coming. That's how fast he was going. She was effectively killed instantly.
Michelle and John Weaver removed their daughter from life support 2 days later.
How do you fathom that loss?
She was 24.
Oh my God.
The suspect, who had kids in the car with him, was 15. He was not only driving illegally, he was in the country illegally.
The DA's office said that this would be a no plea deal case, so they were not going to offer anything, any concession.
That changed, he says, when the Arapahoe County District Attorney's Office changed hands a few months later. Under DA Amy Padden, the teen, who faced up to 2 years in youth corrections for vehicular homicide, was offered 2 years probation if he pled guilty.
Why the change? If he had taken a firearm and recklessly just shot it and killed somebody, this would be a different case. They would be pushing it completely different, so there's no deterrence.
No financial liability either, despite nearly $1 million in medical bills. The Jeep was uninsured, and the juvenile's mom says he took it without permission, so she isn't responsible either.
Immigration and the criminal justice
Whoa! So are you telling me that a parent is not responsible for their child taking someone's life? Unbelievable.
The criminal justice system and all these things landed together one day in Aurora.
Oh my God.
Aurora, and now I sit here today without a daughter.
An organ donor, Kaitlin Weaver, continues to live on in others, while the person who killed her lives free. Investigators say his mom initially planned to move him back to Colombia. He has now filed for asylum.
I hope that he makes something of himself and that he remembers the chance he got. And I hope he doesn't forget her.
Arapahoe County Assistant District Attorney Ryan Brackley says an experienced prosecutor handled the plea deal without any direct involvement by the new administration. And a judge, he notes, upheld the deal after hearing from the family. He says before any plea deal, they consider the impact on the victims and the community, the characteristics of the defendants, such as age, culpability, and level of remorse, and the goals of sentencing, including deterrence, rehabilitating the offender, treating similarly situated offenders equitably, and holding each offender accountable. He says in this case, the negotiated sentence acknowledges the seriousness of this preventable tragedy. In addition to 100 hours community service, the teen is required to attend school and not break any laws. If he does, he goes back to court. Under the plea, his probation is not automatically revoked. Because he's a juvenile, the case is sealed. The Weavers say the defendant never apologized. They say the criminal justice system failed them and their daughter. Sean Boyd, covering Colorado.
Okay, this is unimaginable. So before I go any further, let's take a moment to remember Kaitlin, okay? She volunteered at a suicide hotline. She was an organ donor. She lived her life in a service to others. She wasn't just another statistic. She was a daughter, a friend, and a bright future stolen because of reckless unlawful behavior. Her father spoke with such grace, even in grief, but the pain was clear. His daughter's life mattered, and yet the justice system didn't treat it that way. So let's look at what the district attorney, Amy Patton, has to say in a written statement. These are her words found in the Denver Gazette. We're talking about kids whose brains are not fully developed until they're 25. What? But yet he was able to take a car and drive it, but his brain isn't fully developed? Okay. So in the juvenile justice system, the way it works in Colorado is we look at really how we can connect this juvenile with resources to help them rehabilitate and make sure they don't turn into an adult offender. I'm not really sure how probation after killing someone is going to help them rehabilitate. Okay, in addition, a major part of juvenile cases is separating intentional offenses from unintentional ones. So if you take a car, you go over the speed limit, you are intentionally breaking the law. So this isn't unintentional. This is intentional. I chose to go 90 miles an hour in a 45-mile-an-hour zone. That's intent. Furthermore, she says, a first-degree murder charge would be treated very differently than, for example, a car crash, she said. The main goal is to make sure the juvenile is connected with resources. Do they need mental health counseling? What's their parental situation like? Do they have support services at home? And all I'm thinking about is, what does that have to do with the 15-year-old killing Kaitlin Weaver? He should have been sent to juvenile detention center, and you all can put him in a program to help him understand what he did so he does not reoffend. She was treated as if she didn't even matter. This 15-year-old gets off and there's no accountability from anyone. And I don't understand it. So let's listen to present day what the father had to say as this case continues to be discussed, not in mainstream media, but here.
Kaitlin Weaver, killed in Aurora, Colorado last July when an unlicensed teenage illegal immigrant was driving twice the speed limit. And now that illegal immigrant will only serve probation and community service, no jail time, after the district attorney offered a plea deal. Here to discuss this tragic case, Kaitlin's father, John Weaver. John, good morning. Thanks for joining the program. I'm sorry this happened to your daughter. I'm reading the details of your daughter. She volunteered for a suicide hotline. She worked at a drug rehab. She was an organ donor. She didn't deserve this.
No, she certainly didn't. She was an amazing human.
When you
she spent her life trying to help people.
When you found out that this happened to your daughter, take me back to that day. What was that like?
There's a lot of denial, actually. We received the phone call from her boyfriend, and she'd been taken to the hospital. She'd been in an accident. Didn't have any details, and so it's about a 30-minute drive for us to get down there. And none of the worst outcomes ever crossed our mind. She was going to have a broken arm. But when we got to the hospital and things started to come together, and we started to talk to the people and truly understand how serious things were, it just starts a devastating set of emotions that goes on until today.
So then, John, then you found out that this driver was not only illegally in the country, but was going twice the speed limit, over 90 miles per hour. And now they have decided that there really isn't any punishment because he's back on the street. He's going to do community service.
Exactly.
He's going to be on probation.
Yeah, it's certainly disappointing. The juvenile criminal justice system truly seems to focus on the perpetrators of violence and not necessarily the victims.
John, this is what they're saying in the statement. This is the district attorney. We acknowledge Kaitlin Weaver's death was the direct result of a crash caused by an unlicensed teenager driving at nearly twice
illegal
the posted speed
immigrant.
limit. We unequivocally condemn such reckless and unlawful behavior, which had devastating and irreversible results. No legal outcome can truly make up for the profound loss and void Kaitlin's loved one will live with permanently. Does that strike the right tone?
That is not considering anyone. That is such a disrespect to this young lady's life.
I think the statement's very accurate. The other side of that, though, is the juvenile justice system focuses on perpetrators and what they do. And in the juvenile system, it's all about rehabilitation. It's not about deterrence. It's not about any type of justice or other thing. When they balance this weight of my daughter versus the defendant, it really does favor the defendant in looking at their potential for rehabilitation, as opposed to my daughter who is no longer with us.
John, I struggle with this. My first job was working in juvenile court, trying to help these young people. But one thing I often saw was when there wasn't consequences that really struck the right tone and message to these young people, they either committed more severe crimes or they returned to the same crime that they originally committed. Do you worry that that could happen here?
Always. Just as a general rule, exactly what you're saying. The justice system is kind of a mess, and the attorneys in the system, they'll tell you that the system is a mess. There just doesn't seem to be anybody that's willing to go out and try to make changes with it. The DA's office made a plea bargain in this case that allowed him to plead with the probation sentence. We could have gone to trial and allowed the judge to make the sentence, as opposed to allow the district attorney to make the sentence. And so in that way, the district attorney's office becomes kind of complicit in a system that's not working very well.
Would you have preferred for the judge to make this decision to go to trial?
Absolutely.
I think yes. I would have preferred this to be a judicial decision and let the judge make the decision after seeing it all, because prior to the sentencing date, the judge doesn't see any of the pictures and the videos of the accident and the damage that was done. So the sentence decision, the only choice at that point is to either accept or reject the plea bargain, which really isn't much of a decision at that point.
John, we continue to pray for you and your family. Thanks so much for joining the program this morning. Condolences to you and your family.
And again, this young person and his family should not have been in the country because they're illegal immigrants. As soon as they found out the family status was illegal, I should have come in to deport the entire family. But nothing was done. He was given probation. Now, fast forward to today, thanks to Donald Trump, thanks to ICE, there is a little justice for Kaitlin, not what I would have preferred, but at least the family is getting deported. Look at the next video.
To bring you here, an illegal teenage migrant who got a slap on the wrist after killing a young Colorado woman who was driving home from work has now been taken into ICE custody. The 16-year-old initially avoided jail time for the July 2024 death of Kaitlin Weaver, striking a plea deal to get probation and community service. But now the White House vows that he and his family, who are also illegal immigrants, will be deported. Former acting ICE director and federal prosecutor Jonathan Fahey he joins me now. Jonathan, thanks for joining us. The injustice here can never really be undone, right? When you have an illegal immigrant who doesn't even have a driver's license kill a young woman in the prime of her life while he is recklessly drag racing only to get probation and community service. Details like that are exactly what motivates President Trump to do what he's doing. So the new news here is that both he and his family got picked up by ICE, set to be deported back to Colombia. So what do you think about that? Not just him, but his family also being deported.
They should be deported if they're here illegally, period. And the fact that he was here, he killed somebody and got a lenient sentence, he needs to be removed. And if he was removed without his family, you'd hear cries of separating the family. But it just shows how important public safety is to the Trump administration. They are desperately trying to make sure we don't have another Laken Riley, another Jocelyn Nungary. So they're going to remove people that are threats to public safety. And it's outrageous that the sentence that this guy got to begin with, he got probation for killing a young woman, so that's almost more insult to injury. But at very least, get him out of here so he doesn't hurt another American family, and also it'll be a deterrent to anyone else that either comes here or that's here illegally, that if they commit a crime, they're going to be removed.
Yeah, a partial deterrent, Jonathan, but it just doesn't feel like it's enough. I mean, if this family gets deported, they get to live freely in Colombia, and then what's to stop them from trying to get back into this country once again?
Yeah, that's a very good point. It's not enough for...
See, I agree with her. I think he should be deported to that El Salvador prison. This is a perfect example. Whether they have a juvenile section there for him or he's just in the general population, he needs to be in a jail in another country. I say the El Salvador prison.
Not enough for what he did. And I think what's going to stop him from coming back is, one, it's harder to get in now because the Trump administration's in effect sealed the border. And if they come back in, they'll be charged with the felony of illegal reentry after being deported, which will put them in prison. So I don't think they're going to take that risk. But again, they may try. And if they do under the Trump administration, they're going to get caught. They're going to get removed again, and they're going to do some jail time. But you're absolutely right. For what this guy did to not only kill a young woman, but destroy, in many ways, the lives of her family, the community, and other people, just because of a senseless act for somebody that should not have even been here, is absolutely outrageous.
Yeah, and we are seeing a trend just this week alone, Jonathan. There's been a slew of illegal immigrant arrests. There was this horrible situation that took place in Texas where 2 Venezuelan illegal immigrants are accused of killing a young Air Force cadet in a jet ski incident. And this continued killing, this may be why the Trump administration is reportedly very frustrated with the pace of deportations. Right now, it's about 1,000 ICE arrests per day, but that target number was just upped to 3,000 per day. So given the challenges that ICE is facing regarding potential lack of resources and also sanctuary cities, do you think that target number, 3,000, is achievable?
Yes, I do, and I think the way it's achievable, one, they're cracking down on these sanctuary cities, and unfortunately for some of them, they're going to be made examples of for things like alien harboring and things like that, criminal investigations. But once they can crack down on those and get more of them in line, it'll make it easier to deport people. They're also enlisting the help of local law enforcement under the 287G program to be basically a force multiplier so they can arrest and deport more people. And this, the big, beautiful bill, as they call it, coming up, has approximately, I think it's about $140 billion for ICE and CBP. So the resources are coming just for them. So I think it's achievable. And remember, under the Biden administration, they were sometimes bringing in 10 and 12,000 people a day, and they had no regard for public safety, no regard for vetting any of these people. So the Trump administration is just simply trying to get the most dangerous people out of here, putting public safety first. But yes, it's achievable. I think they'll get there, and they're moving in the right direction.
Yeah, and there was some leadership changes at the top of ICE that we learned about yesterday that were just made. So clearly that.
So yes, family, this is where we are now. The family is getting deported, but again, I think that this 15-year-old should be deported to the El Salvador prison. His parents should be fined and in prison as well for him taking the car. But anyway, you all, let me know what you think about this situation. Drop a comment in the comment section. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you are always informed when another video is being produced. And again, remember to stay curious, remain bold, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good evening.